Well, hello, chat. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, hasn't it? It's been, I think, quite literally over a year, if not very, very close to that. Kind of wild. Uh, I have this issue. I don't know what I did to somebody to get this curse inflicted upon me, but every time, without fail, when I say to myself or to you guys, like, hey, I'm going to start uploading regularly. This is the type of content I'm going to make. And I'm gonna keep uploading weekly, every 1 week or something like that. Without fail, I do not follow up. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I think back to the first ever like subscriber milestone things I was planning to do, and I think what it was at that time, it was trying to. One, I did not expect to hit as much of those got like pretty high subscriber count. I don't think I hit 10,000 around that time. It was like 2 years in though. I was pretty high up on the list of the things I needed to do, and I was struggling alone with the Killing Joke review. That alone was just something I thought like, oh, it's going to be easy. I just could talk about the movie, and I realized like, oh, I'm not really good at script writing. I'm not really good at note taking. I don't have a good attention span, and so, and I'm also hypercritical when I'm on camera. I think, every freaking, God damn it. I look at every little weird movement in my face, and I feel like not only, am I emoting enough with this, but am I expressing enough with my face alone? Like that, I feel like that has to be another part of it. But does this look natural? Does it come off cheesy? Does it come off forced? I'm just too hypercritical with it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do Let's Plays. We're going to do some classic Let's Play style videos. And what happened with those, I think I just got bored. I did not like doing those videos. I think I was playing Amnesia was one of the games, and I got stuck on where I was. And I just hate that. I cannot stand it when I get stuck in a game. It kills my motivation to play it. And so I was just like, all right, yeah, I don't really care for this. I also just don't think I had good commentary. I didn't have the right energy for it, I feel. My heart just wasn't in it. We also had the live streams. Like I planned for a long time. Do like monthly live streams. And I think I kept up with it. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. But at the same time, I know there were plenty of times where a stream just didn't come that month, or it came later. Things got delayed. I got distracted. You would think like, okay, you're going to do this stream at like the end of the month, every month, basically. It should be easy to, post or schedule your stream and post about it regularly to get people hyped up for it. And for some reason, I couldn't even do that right. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't. I enjoyed those streams, though, I will say. And not every stream, I think, was great. I don't think I always had the most energy, but I enjoyed making them. But then, we come to, there was the true crime stuff I wanted to do. I was like, oh, I'm going to do kind of like a Windigoon, or I was kind of, I like the channel Kenny JD. I watch a lot of her stuff. I like her storytelling, and that kind of inspired like me watching like documentaries and essentially retelling them with my own little commentary and stuff. But again, I have a very short attention span, and I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of time. Maybe this is a cop out, but I feel like because I am focused on, I started doing voice acting first, and that's kind of my true passion, my true love. A lot of times when I'm trying to make a new video, when I'm trying to make new types of content, other stuff comes up. I get other work, and then things I had scheduled to film that day. Oh, okay, well now I got to record something, so it's just going to have to get delayed, and I cannot get it done in a timely fashion. I also had a terrible computer at that time. I'm now currently working off this amazing laptop that my girlfriend got me. I really, really freaking love this thing. I appreciate it so much. It's much better than the computer I had before. Um, I can do so much with this. Editing and hit film is a lot easier. Everything's a lot quicker. I can get so much more work done with this laptop, and I can, take it with me places. So if I go to visit family and I need to still get some work done here and there, I can do that. So theoretically, I could do that stuff again, but again, I don't have the attention span. I was going to do the Menendez brothers, and I kind of did. I did like a live stream talking about the stuff, but I could not take the time to sit down, film, edit, talk about it, come up with jokes. It really was hard to joke about in general. It was really messed up. And then there was the Diddy video, which I had planned to do back then. And if what happened with that, you might be asking. Yeah, look, there was so much stuff coming out about Diddy. I don't know how these creators, managed to make those videos at that time. Some of them being like hours and hours long to, cover the stuff. And there was just so much. There were so many documentaries coming out, so many articles. It was so hard to cover everything. I just couldn't do it. And I just knew too, I'm like, okay, we're going to have new developments coming out. Things are going to change. And, I wanted to kind of be up to date, but it felt like there was new stories dropping like every day. And I just couldn't. And at a certain point, I just lost interest too. I just didn't care. Hey, Green Augustine, thank you for being here. Hey, Rawson, thank you for being here. I said it in the chat, but I want to say thank you here as well. I've watched the first episode. Me and my girl watched that the other night. It doesn't start strong. I want to check out the other stuff, but I'm not going to lie. I feel like it starts a little weak. Because outside of the one case with, I can't remember the woman's name, but, it was awful what he did to her. But like outside of that, I felt like a lot of that was filler because how they're mentioning like, oh, he scheduled parties, he organized parties, and then this one concert party thing he organized, a bunch of people like bum rushed the doors and just ran in and got way too overcrowded. People got trampled. I think it said people died. I couldn't remember if anybody, was unalived. I don't think I'm gonna have the energy to do the YouTube censors, or they were just injured. But it painted it as like, yeah, he was at fault and he didn't pay for their medical bills or anything like that. I'm like, he wasn't at fault. Like, I don't know what to say. I know he's a terrible person. I know he's done awful things, and I hate to defend him in any way, but at the same time, he didn't, like, that wasn't his fault. He wasn't the reason. He didn't tell the people to trample through other people, to go and, to disregard people's health, to overcrowd the place. They did that of their own volition. So I don't think in any way he's, responsible for, the people who got injured or anything like that. That's not his fault. That might sound terrible, but I just don't, I don't know if I'm the odd one out in that, but I just don't think that's his fault. I wouldn't apologize. He apologized at the time. I probably wouldn't have. And he I don't think he owed them any money, honestly. But getting back to point, well, no, I guess that kind of covers everything. Yeah, I guess the one last thing I was going to say, and when talking about like why I don't get a lot of videos done, a lot of different types of content done, put simply, like the last things I was trying to do was like a weekly upload of, whatever just happens to be on my mind. And I've realized I hate editing. I do not like editing. And even when I try to keep it as minimalistic as possible, as, little pictures or even cuts as possible, I don't like doing it. And I encounter bullshit problems that drive me up a fucking wall and really kill my morale doing it. I think it was the last video I did. it was either that one or the Killing Joke one before it, where I encountered this issue where even though I did the snaps trying to sync the audio, I could not get it to line up and hit film, not perfectly. I don't know if I think at a certain point I just said fuck it, and I said, all right, well, this is just how it's going to be. This is the best I can do, and that just really killed my morale with it. So yeah, I'm not guaranteeing that this podcast is going to be something I'm going to, continue to do weekly or anything like that, but it is something I'm going to try to do because it's something that I don't really have to do any editing for. I don't have to put up pictures or videos or anything like that. I can just, talk basically. And, I enjoy this. I get hyper fixated on things. Things come into my mind when watching YouTube videos, when seeing stuff going on, and it'll just stay there. It'll just, this whole like paragraphs and essays of thoughts will just stay in my head. So sometimes I think it might actually be a good idea to just, get on mic, maybe get on camera at some point. Well, I'll think on it. I can get on my little, I think my laptop has a little webcam on here. It does. I know it does. So I can get on camera, but I don't know. I kind of like being off camera. I find it easier to, I guess, be me off camera. I guess that's why I'm more of a voice actor than an on-camera actor. But anyways, I did want to talk about, while it's on my mind, I had this idea to do a sort of just rambling about the Arkham games because I was hyper fixated on them for like a month. They were just all that was on my mind. I was just playing them constantly. My girl was just like, are you going to play something else? Like I was playing Arkham City and Arkham Asylum on my Switch. I was playing Arkham Origins on my laptop. I was playing Arkham Knight on my PS4. I had Arkham Knight on my Switch as well, but then I had checked the PlayStation Store because I didn't have Arkham Knight on my PS4 for a while. And so I checked the store and it was like $5 on sale. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm getting this because that game is still gorgeous looking by today's standards. Even on the old like OG PS4, Arkham Knight looks incredible on there. And meanwhile on the Switch, it's just... It kind of hurts to look at. Like, I cannot go back. I played it on that for a while. I actually beat it on that. And I just figured, oh, okay, well, I don't know. It's just the combat's still good. Game looks like ass, but I don't know. It's dedication. I don't know what kept me going through. But then when I got my, I had to sell my PS5 a while back, unfortunately, due to, a big financial risk moving into a new place, some unfortunate bad decisions. I had to, kind of sacrifice some things. So for a while, I didn't even have a PS5, but my girlfriend's brother was nice enough to give me, he essentially had multiple PS4s that he wasn't doing anything with. And he's just like, do you want it? And I'm like, sure. So, ended up rebuying Arkham Knight on it, played it on that for a while, probably play it again soon. And I really like that game. Again, it looks gorgeous, plays great, story, isn't perfect, but overall is pretty good. And I really like that game. Someone asked, Spruce Wood Dude, thank you for being here. Who is your favorite Marvel comic character? I'm not really huge into Marvel, to be honest with you. I'm not like huge into DC either. I'm not really a comic guy. But I would say if I had to pick Spider-Man, and I kind of grew up on Spider-Man, saw the first Spider-Man movie in theaters. I love the cartoon. I love the 90s cartoon I grew up with. I adored that cartoon. I had the Spider-Man PS1 game, which I love and adore. I played the Spider-Man movie game. I played Spider-Man 2. If I kind of had to break it down, especially when I was younger. I think I was a lot more into Spider-Man. At least Spider-Man media, not necessarily the comics, but I enjoyed Spider-Man quite a bit. I'd say he's my favorite. And to Green Augustine, yeah, you asked for all 3 Arkham games. There is 4 Arkham games. I know what you mean. I'm assuming you mean like the trilogy that they released a while back. But I'm sorry, that's a pet peeve of mine. I mean, there's technically like 5 Arkham games, 6 if you're counting the VR. But I'm going to talk about like each one I've played to every degree I can, as extensively as I can, in the exact order. So, I mean, we got the first one, Arkham Asylum. Arkham Asylum that game has not aged well to me. It wasn't even, some people even said that game was kind of mediocre when it came out. Some people said it was just way overrated. And that basically the only reason Arkham Asylum got the praise it did was because it was like the most okay Batman game we've ever gotten. Yeah, and I can kind of agree, because the boss fights in Arkham Asylum are really kind of lame. Most of them are just kind of like spamming batarangs, essentially. And the combat in Arkham Asylum, even at the time, I remember it took me a bit to adjust to the. It took me a bit to adjust to like the combat. I don't know why it was taking me so long to say that, but yeah, the combat of Arkham Asylum is a little more finicky than you might remember. I had a lot of times where even when I would hit like counter, if I didn't hit it exactly at the right time, I would take a hit and it would piss me the fuck off. I will say, the atmosphere of Arkham Asylum and the design of the asylum, I do really dig. I dig that a lot in that game. It really feels like almost, some people said it's like a Halloween game. Like if they're going to pick an Arkham game to play for Halloween, that one feels pretty fitting. And I'd agree. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but there's just a look to it that almost does feel kind of classic Tim Burton Batman-esque. It is pretty good. They also like the audio logs and keeping the like comic book style character designs in those, as opposed to like Arkham City just using video game icons, or character models, I guess is what I mean. I did like that. And I would say the Arkham Asylum story is still interesting, and definitely worth a playthrough. But honestly, I replayed it on my Switch just to, really for a TikTok. I mean, for the TikTok I made about it. But like, man, I do not in any way feel like there's any reason to go back to Arkham Asylum unless you really want to try those Joker levels that they put in they originally PS3 exclusive, and then they just put them in the Return to Arkham games. If you really, really, really want to try that, that you can do. Like those are fun, but even then, they're not enough to where I feel any need to go back and play it. I would say the most memorable, most enjoyable part of Arkham Asylum to me was the Croc section, because that was genuinely terrifying. The Croc section scared the fuck out of me. When you hear him charging and you see him turn a corner, even if you have your Batarang ready, it still like gets the blood pumping, hearing him get close to you and seeing him get close to you. Sorry, I need to clear my throat. But yeah, again, story's good. The voice acting's good. I don't really have much to say on the original Arkham Asylum outside of that. I got a lot of comments of people saying, oh, well, Batman's less experienced in that. That's why the combat's more clunky. And so that's my headcanon. Whatever, good for you. If you like the game, if you can still play it, and the Scarecrow sections. Let me also mention those. The Scarecrow sections were great. That is easily one of the most memorable parts of that game. A lot of fun. Really like the Scarecrow sections. But if you still like it If you can still play it, good for you. I can't. I pretty much played it for that video, and then I'm never playing it again. Arkham City, in a lot of ways, is kind of the best Arkham game. The combat is much more smoothed out. Everything is really fast-paced. Nothing feels overly complicated. Like, I like Arkham Knight a lot, but they had to switch out, like, that, the weapon, not wheel, but, like, the sort of just using the D-pad to, in real time, select the gadget you need. They got rid of that, and instead you had to hit down on the D-pad, or you had to down on the D-pad to open a gadget wheel and pick which one you wanted, and had to pause the game to do it. And they did that because then they also added the Batmobile. So the Batmobile took the place of the detective mode vision. Like, it took that away, and then so you had to hit like left or right on the the D-pad. Every button on the D-pad got assigned something new. But I'm going on a tangent here. Arkham City, you still have that weapon select. You can do it real time. It's real quick. And you also don't have the Batmobile, constantly plaguing things. So if you really didn't like that, Arkham City is kind of the best because, like I said, it's the fastest. It's much bigger than Asylum. It's a lot of ways what Asylum should have been because, you never run out of enemies to beat up. It's an open world Batman game with some side missions here and there. You have all these cool area. Like, I always liked it when there was some political prisoner I could save. And the story is pretty good. I would say I think Asylum's a little better, just in the sense that, like, to I guess really enjoy Arkham City, I feel like the story in that you have to know a little more about Batman and the world of Batman, but I feel like you could kind of just go in as an amateur or, somebody who really doesn't know Batman at all in Arkham Asylum and still enjoy that story quite a bit. I think when, I don't know, when the Ra's al Ghul twist, spoilers, came up near the end, I don't know, it just didn't hit for me. It just didn't quite work. But overall, I mean, again, the story of, like, Joker, you have this Joker venom going through your veins, and it's slowly killing you. So you got this kind of time limit going on. Definitely makes it interesting. The stealth is much more improved. The enemies aren't as stupid, and it felt like, especially for, like, the challenge maps, it wasn't just simply, okay, this gargoyle's going to detonate, and that's it. It felt like there was a lot more you had to get around. And also, again, the combat's more fast-paced, and the sort of beatdown mechanic really was an improvement over, like, when fighting the giants, especially, of, like, oh, this giant is attacking you. You have to throw a batarang at it and jump out of the way. It, lend itself more to, like, different enemy types who need a beatdown to actually be taken down because you can't break their guard, basically. I really liked that. I also really liked the DLC. Like, a lot of the challenge mode, challenge maps in Arkham City are really, really good. They give almost infinite replay value to that game because there's so many of the, important areas in Arkham City's story that you replay, that there's these little variations to. And you get to play not only as Batman, but Catwoman. And then if you pay for the DLC, you get Nightwing. I think Robin comes automatically, but you pay for Nightwing as DLC. And I really, really like that in the game. Having Nightwing was cool as shit. I like the way he fights. I liked his little arrows in stealth mode that if you shot, you got a good headshot that just instantly knocked the enemy out. That was really cool. I also loved the different costumes. The fact that there was so many DLC costumes, the Batman Returns costume, Batman the Sinestro corpse, and obviously my personal favorite, Batman Beyond, because that's honestly that was the Batman cartoon I grew up with. That was my shit. It might have honestly just been because the main character's name was Terrence, even though they called him Terry. Don't call me that. I don't like it. But, I remember rewatching it in like 2010. I think it was on Netflix or something. And I rewatched the first episode of Batman Beyond. And there's the point where Bruce Wayne looks at Terry McGinnis and just goes, Terrence. And I wasn't fully paying attention. I think I was looking somewhere else and I heard my name and I was like, what the fuck? This one it clicked with me because I didn't remember as a kid, but I'm like, oh my God, this dude's name is Terrence. I've never seen that in a comic or in a show before. Very few shows that I've ever seen the main character with that name. The name's just not that common. But going off the tangent, yeah, Arkham City is really good. I'd say it's probably, I like Arkham Knight a lot, but I think it is arguably the best. It's got the best balance of fun combat without overcomplicating itself, a good story without, any, again, any like too predictable moments. I would say, again, I like Arkham Knight, but the story gets very, very predictable pretty early on, honestly. It's still told well, but it's just too predictable. And I would say the challenge modes are especially where Arkham City shines, because there's so much. You not only have like all the different maps, but you also have the sort of I can't remember, the Riddler's Revenge challenge, where it's like you have to do 3 maps one after the other, and then you have handicaps and boosts, and you got to pick which one you want to use, but they all have to be used by the end. So like you have multiple different ways to play these missions. I really like it, and I think if I had to recommend any of the Arkham games, that'd probably be the one I would go with to start. But beyond that, before we talk about Arkham Knight, I need to talk about the most underrated game, the game that is perfect to talk about for the holiday season, Arkham Origins. Arkham Origins is I'm happy to see it's getting a lot more praise and a lot more love than it was before. When it came out, it seemed like it was just forgotten. There was this meme called like Game of the OK Edition. I remember seeing like some picture of that, and it showed Arkham Origins with like this it said right on top, Game of the OK, kind of parodying the Game of the Year edition of Arkham City. And it's like, the story is incredibly predictable, combat is amazingly consistent, and it's just it's essentially saying like, yeah, it's okay, there's not a whole lot of differences in Arkham Origins versus Arkham City. It's good, but there's nothing like groundbreaking in it. And that's true. But honestly, that's kind of why I love it. That's part of the reason I love it. I'll continue talking, but excuse me if I start to get a little far from the mic, because I need some water. So I'm going real quick to grab some water. I'm going to keep talking. But I got my headphones on. I can just barely reach. All right, I got it. Anyways. So yeah. Arkham Origins is amazing. And I love that game. And I say it's amazing. I guess I have my biases, but so one of the things I like with Arkham Origins is I really, really like the sort of switch up in art style. Sorry, I need a drink of water. The switch up in art style. It's kind of hard to explain, but Arkham Asylum and City had this sort of gothic aesthetic just in like the menus and like the pause menu even. There were like these bats and gargoyles and stuff. And Arkham Origins has almost this like digital aesthetic to it. Like there's not like bats in the menu. It just pulls up like everything has this sort of digital text like it's on a computer or something like that. I also kind of like the Arkham Origins Batman design. I just think it looks really cool. I love the Joker design in Arkham Origins. Um, I also really like the. It seemed like they used a lot more like cinematics in Arkham Origins. There was a lot more cinematic cutscenes that made the characters kind of move more and feel a little more alive during certain scenes. Like I loved how energetic and just like sort of flamboyant might be the wrong word, but the sort of bouncy nature of the Joker in Origins, especially when he like blows up that one building and he's just jumping around all excited. I really like the game's aesthetic, and I also really like the voice cast. Honestly, I mean, listen, rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. He's still the best Batman, and Mark Hamill is still the best Joker. But I feel like Roger Craig Smith did a fantastic job at creating a younger sounding Batman that definitely comes across a little less experienced. And I feel like Troy Baker did a great rendition of a younger Mark Hamill Joker. Like you can hear the inspiration from Mark Hamill in that Joker voice, but Troy Baker's delivery and performance still makes it feel like his own. He makes it his own character to the point that like sorry, you might have heard the Discord noises. I actually I wanted to hear him more. I liked his Joker voice so much. One, it influenced my Joker impression, but it also got me to check out. I think it was Batman Return to Arkham. It's more of a Suicide Squad movie, but in that movie, even though Kevin Conroy plays Batman, it is Troy Baker playing Joker, and he does a fantastic job. Same as he did in Arkham Origins. It's just great. And I think that's a big part of the appeal for me in Arkham Origins is just hearing the different casts, the different interpretations of these characters. I also really... Hey, Joshua, thank you for being here. I really like the boss fights in Arkham Origins. I'd say they easily have the best boss fights. The Deathstroke boss fight is a lot of fun. It feels like a real challenge between like two super experienced martial artists. I really like the Bane boss fight. It's like genuinely kind of scary. Give me 1 second. I need more water. Like genuinely kind of terrifying because he's just so big and fucking bulky. I really, really enjoyed that. And while the Mad Hatter does appear in Arkham City, he's only got like one level. In Arkham Origins, he feels like a throwback to the Scarecrow levels. They're not exactly the same, but they definitely give the same vibe. And it's cool to sort of see that Nightmare Land type thing come back. I really, really enjoy it. Yeah. I like Origins a lot. And I say again, too, comparing it to Night, I kind of have to. Another thing with Origins that's really cool, I'd say, is the challenge modes. Arkham Knight has this issue where a lot of the good challenges are locked behind DLC. A lot of them. And then it's like, if you don't pay for the DLC, a lot of the challenges, the challenge maps are like some gimmick. They're like, oh, beat these enemies in a certain amount of time. Don't take any hits. Keep variety in your combos going for a higher score. And that just gets kind of annoying. Like, I get it. It's, I guess it does offer more of a challenge and gives you a little more to do in these areas. But I honestly would prefer more just like, all right, we're just going to throw a bunch of enemies at you in waves. You got to take them out. I liked that a lot more. And Arkham Origins does that. They also don't feel too big. I felt like as much as Arkham Knight is a fantastic game, um, Arkham Knight is a fantastic game, but like a lot of those challenge maps just get so big, they get frustrating. Um, so Arkham Origins, I really, really, really like the challenge maps in there because it just doesn't have that issue. And not only that, there's no Batmobile taking up like a third of the challenges. And the Batmobile I don't hate in Arkham Knight, but I did not want it in the challenge mode. So I really liked playing Arkham Origins because I played it after and not having to deal with that. Just having some simple stages, some simple fights and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to answer this super chat here real quick before it goes away. My apologies. For you, dude, thank you, Joshua. I really appreciate the super chat. Never caught a live stream. What was the phrase you used to shout on all those horror cartoon sketches? Have a great Xmas, dude. I'm assuming you're talking about Horror Shorts Party. I mean, the most popular one is Leave Me Alone or I'm Calling the Cops. Yeah, that's the one most people remember. But, you have a great Christmas, too, and be sure to play Arkham Origins, because, again, fantastic Christmas game. Like, the only Christmas game I can think of. Someone else said Max Payne. I can't remember how much of that really is a Christmas game. But, yeah, really like the challenge maps in Arkham Origins. The only thing I could say that bothers me in Arkham Origins is I would say that the kind of like using the Batclaw isn't as fun as in Arkham City or Arkham Knight. There just doesn't seem like there's as many places to like latch your Batclaw onto. So yeah, I really I did kind of get annoyed with that. I feel like as the game goes on, it does a little better. But it is in the beginning, it just seems like you can't latch on to anything. And so like traversing the map gets a little slower, though they do add, fast travel options, which are appreciated. So, I guess that kind of makes up for it. I also like how Arkham Origins, you don't have the Riddler trophies, which I don't give a fuck. I'm not doing those. Riddler is in the game, but he's just called Enigma. And he's much more, the challenges just aren't as hard, which I guess, call me a coward or whatever, but I actually enjoy doing those because it's not just like figure out how to get this riddle box in the most convoluted way possible. They're actually fun to get. I don't think I've gotten all the Enigma data files, but I actually want to in comparison to the other Arkham games. Also, side note, the shockwave, the shock gloves that Batman gets in Arkham Origins are a lot of fun, and I felt like added a lot more, or just made the combat more enjoyable. You could get things done a little faster. There were certain enemies you had to beat with those, if I remember, or like they did double damage, and like armored enemies that you had to stun with your cape or whatever, you could then just beat them down with the shot gloves. There were certain enemies you could like only hit with them, if I remember, or they were just easier to fight with them. I also liked the enemies that you had to like hit the dodge button like 3 times or counter button 3 times to actually counter them. There's a lot of cool things in that game. Again, nothing is necessarily groundbreaking. There's stuff like, in Arkham City, when you get to like 5 or 8, combo going, you can do a finisher. You can do a combo takedown or whatever. And those are good. Those are fun. But in Arkham Origins, they did this thing where like, an upgrade can be that if, say, you get an 8 combo going, then you get a 16 combo going or something like that. It used to be if you got to 16 before you got to 8 and you didn't use the finisher yet, but then you use the finisher, it just, that counted as your finisher, and then you had to get another like 8 combo going to do another. In Arkham Origins, you got an upgrade that basically made it to where you could do 2 finishers if you got it. If you got it, up to 8 combo, or really we're going to say 5. If you got up to 5 combo and then you didn't use it, then you got up to 10. And especially if you got the slow-mo going, you automatically were allowed to take down, use your special takedown and knock out one enemy, and then you had the ability to do it again. So that, as cool as that was, as a nice little addition, it definitely gave off the feeling like they didn't quite know what to do with the game, quite how to improve, what to add. But still, I really like Arkham Origins. I have the Deathstroke DLC, the challenge maps or whatever. That's okay. He kind of just plays mostly the same as Batman, but it's still cool. I don't really have a lot of the DLC for Origins, but I'd still say I really, really like that game, and I'd recommend it to anybody. I saw the other day, like, online, the sort of general review score is like 9 out of 10 at this point, which I like. And sorry, I need a little more water. So before I get on to Arkham Knight again, I will say I did not finish this game. So my opinion is going to be very short. I had Arkham Origins Blackgate on my 3DS. My cousin had it on his Vita, actually. And I would say that was, again, just kind of okay. Combat wasn't as smooth. It was a decent, sort of 2D rendition of an Arkham game, or 2.5D, I guess. But I just got stuck somewhere, and I could not figure out what to do for the life of me. And again, that kills my motivation in a game. So I just kind of stopped after that. I wanted to play it again, but I have my 3DS. I don't have that game anymore, and I cannot find a charger for my 3DS. So I don't know when I'm ever going to play that again. But there's also, I haven't played it, but, just mentioning it real quick, Arkham VR, never really got to play it. I think I played like 5 minutes of it at a buddy's house when he had his VR, and it was cool to see like me just move around as Batman in the mirror. But he also didn't have like the glasses add-on, and I wear glasses, so I couldn't really see what I was doing. So I only did that, and then I was just kind of done. But moving on to Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight is, I would say, is kind of my favorite. Again, I think Arkham City is the best, but talking about it all together, I kind of like Arkham Origins a little over City at this point, just because I feel like, again, I like the aesthetic and everything. I like the story. It didn't necessarily change too much, but I just really enjoyed it. Arkham Knight changed a lot. Some of those were kind of annoying. It's kind of frustrating to have to use the D-pad to go into detective mode, to go into the whatever missions you have to do. Check. There was a few things. I'm trying to remember all of them. Your gadgets and stuff. And I think there's one I'm missing. That was kind of annoying. But overall, it didn't kill the game for me. And I didn't mind using the Batmobile for the most part. The Batmobile didn't bother me too much because a lot of times it is optional. Like if you're doing the main story missions, most of the time you don't need the Batmobile, at least to get there. I constantly just used the Batclaw and flew around the city. Because especially with all the upgrades, you can fly, go a lot higher, fly a lot faster. It's a lot of fun. And encountering the Man-Bat scared the fuck out of me in the game. It gave me a fucking heart attack the first time I saw it. Really, really scared the hell out of me. I was like, why would they put that there? But yeah. So, there's certain changes. But the Batmobile does kind of get annoying around, whenever you're doing the Riddler stuff. It made no sense for so many of those missions to revolve around Riddler. Because how does a racetrack or a challenge track, whatever you want to call it, what does that have to do with riddles? How is that a riddle, Edward? What the fuck? It really got on my nerves, and I just could not. I did it because I had to at least get the mission done to free Catwoman, but the game's like, oh, to get the true ending, you got to do all the Riddler trophies. Fuck off. I don't care. Get the fuck out of my face with that. And like I said, a lot of the challenge modes in Arkham Knight got taken up by those Riddler trophies, or by the Batmobile things. And I'm not doing that. I don't care. I didn't mind the tank battles. I didn't mind I kind of liked the driving sections, having to chase after, Firefly and having to chase after cars and stuff. Even though I will say I think the driving is kind of a little awkward in the Batmobile just because of the button placements. But even then, I still had a good time with it. I just really didn't like those Riddler challenges and it taking up so many of the AR challenges. It did kind of get annoying too how many of the puzzles required the fucking Batmobile. That was so weird to me, but you know, whatever. It was okay. It didn't kill the game for me. The combat was perfected in my opinion. Again, you have to kind of pause the game to pick different gadgets, but there's almost every gadget I think that can be used in combat has some combination you can do to do it like quickly. Like if you hit triangle and L2 real fast, you'll shoot out the bat claw, grab an enemy, and pull them towards you. And then you can do this in the other games too. But you know, you hit square and then you'll pull them over and you'll like elbow them down to the ground. It's a lot of fun. And I would say the impact of your punches and the blocks and stuff just feel the most satisfying. Your punches feel like they pack the most weight in Arkham Knight. It's also cool being able to take like lead pipes and shit, bash someone over the skull, and use that as a way to like get around people using armor or having, I think if they had like a shield or something. The shield guys got really fucking annoying in Arkham City especially. So having that little workaround was cool. The stealth was good, like really good, but a lot more challenging. You really had to kind of master the gadgets to get the most out of it. I'm not that great at it, so a lot of what I was doing was just kind of like taking someone down real quick, jumping into the air, you know, hanging somewhere, getting away as quick as I could, and just going about my day basically. Or just, you know, doing that, waiting to take everyone down. Every now and then be like, oh, I can put the explosive gel here and take someone down who walks by. But a lot of times it felt like it was hard to get people over that way. So I wasn't really inclined to do it. In Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, it felt like it was a lot easier to just get someone to walk down that way. Especially with the Sonic Batarang, which they took out in Arkham Knight. They took it out, but in fairness, it'll show you can like throw a Batarang next to an enemy, and it'll get their attention to go in that general direction. I would also say again, I said the story is predictable, and it is, but I mean it's kind of fun having Joker follow you around and make all these little quips about what's going on. It also, the way it kind of ends with how Batman tackles the sort of inner Joker in him is pretty satisfying and pretty good. I liked it. I felt like, again, story was predictable, but told well. And I would say that out of all of the Arkham games, if I'm going to pick one story-wise to replay, it's probably going to be Arkham Knight. To be honest with you, I'd probably, again, I like Origins a lot. I played City a lot, and maybe that's just the reason I'm less inclined to say City. But I don't like playing City as much as I like playing Night, because I feel like the combat's a lot better in Night. Sorry, I got an email. I don't like I don't like the stealth as much as I do in Arkham Knight, and I think I just played it too much, so it's just a little too predictable to me, and it's not as fun to me to play as the others. But Arkham Origins has like a lot of the same combat, but plays the same. So, or same combat, but a different aesthetic, different story and stuff. So I'm more inclined to want to play that. Arkham Knight, I'm really, really not going to play. Or sorry, Arkham City, I'm not going to play is what I mean. Arkham Knight, I love, and I'm probably going to play very shortly after I'm done this podcast. But to kind of end this pontificating, I enjoyed that. I did need to mention though as well, the DLC is good. I'm not going to end this. I got more to talk about. I'm sorry. The DLC in Arkham Knight is good. There's a lot of cool, you got like the most different Batman costumes and the best ones in my opinion. I mean, there's probably some I don't know of, but like, man, that not only do you have these great costumes, but they work in the cutscenes. So like you can, when you're replaying it especially, you can wear the classic Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman costume, and it looks sick. It looks so cool in the cutscenes. It looks so cool in combat. It looks so cool when you're flying around the city. It's my favorite to wear in that game, honestly. The Batman versus Superman one was pretty cool. I think some of those costumes were free. I can't remember if they all were, but I think a few were. I know that when I rebought it, I was given the Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman costume for free. So that was pretty cool. Like everything looks really cool. You get the Dark Knight costume too. Everything looks sick. Batman Beyond looks even better. I think you get the Batman Returns one as well. You get the Arkham Origins costume too, but I would say that one looks a little weird. That one is not as cool looking in Arkham Knight, but still, you get all these different costumes that they all look great. You get these different Batmobiles, and you get these different characters. I kind of feel like putting the Arkham Knight behind a paywall or the Red Hood behind a paywall is a little cheating, but if I recall, it was pretty cheap. It was maybe like $3. Most of the DLC for Arkham Knight for each of those characters was only like $2 or $3. So, all right, that didn't kill it for me. I will say I like the challenge modes, at least the ones I enjoy, the ones that don't have an annoying gimmick. But I watched a video talking about it. I will say the characters feel not as different as they did in Arkham City. Like in Arkham City, with all the different characters you had, it felt like they all played slightly differently to where there was like pros and cons of each. In Arkham Knight, it feels more like the challenge is that, we don't have as much gadgets as Batman does. And admittedly, I mean, like the Red Hood has like little to no gadgets, but he's got the fucking gun, so he's a little OP. But I will say I did like the DLC story modes, especially Red Hood's. It was cool being able to play as Harley. And I really liked the Batgirl DLC. That was really good. And being able to play as her. So the game has a lot of different characters to play as in the challenge modes, a lot of different extra stories, and you get the bonus missions for the main story mode, including like Mr. Freeze, Croc, Mad Hatter again. I feel like there's one I'm missing. There's definitely one I'm missing there. I cannot remember what it is at the moment, though. Forgive me. Really, I'm trying. I'm desperate. I feel like there's like 4 or 5, and I cannot remember what the 4th one was. It was Mad Hatter, Mr. Free. Oh, no, that wasn't DLC. Whatever. So yeah, that's kind of my opinions on the Arkham games. Sorry if that was a little lengthy. Sorry if I stutter a lot. again, I'm not really good at the sitting down and filming, editing, and all that stuff. So this is kind of an easier way for me to talk about things that pique my interest. I'm going to take a quick little drink of my water here. Horror culture with Rawson. You asked earlier, have I watched the live action Death Note from 2006? I did. I've actually seen. Let me break down everything I've watched. I have watched the entirety of the original Death Note. I read the manga in its entirety. I watched the first 2 live-action Japanese movies. I read the book based on the 3rd Japanese movie, L Save the World or whatever. I did watch that, or I read that. It was okay. And then there's... I did actually see the Netflix one, which wasn't good. It was not good. But I knew it was going to be trash, so it didn't disappoint. I will say, William Dafoe as Ryuk was a good choice. And I would say that, what was it? The guy who played L, he didn't look like the character, but he definitely tried to embody the personality, the sort of eccentric, very out of the ordinary personality of L. He clearly, I dropped my phone, whatever. He clearly tried to embody that pretty well. So I have to give credit to the actor. I can't remember his name, but I thought he did okay. And it was a bad movie, but I don't know. I just didn't expect anything good in the first place. So whatever. I didn't finish there was like a K-drama, I think, like or like TV drama, something. There was a live action TV version, basically. And I think a musical was made as well. Regardless, I like how popular Death Note is, but yeah, no. So yeah, 1 second. Ugh. I'm going to take a little 5-minute break here. Again, drink some water, go to the bathroom. Hope you guys are enjoying this. But I'm going to take a little 5, maybe 10-minute break tops. So I will be back. Take a minute to recover myself. Get your snacks, get some popcorn, and we will be back very shortly. Will your voice fit before I get out grumpier from singing monsters? I can't sing, so assuming that show involves singing, I'm not going to be good for it. So I don't know. But I'm going to take a quick break here. You guys, again, get your snacks, go to the bathroom. This freaking thing. Move up. There we go. Recover yourselves. And I recover myself to decide what I'm going to talk about next. I think I already know. But just, be right back. Y'all have a fun time. We'll see you soon.
J Squad. Course it's time for Woody's Roundup. He's the very best. He's the rootinest, tootinest cowboy in the Wild Wild West. That guy's go running whenever he's in town. He's the rootinest, tootinest, shootinest, hootinest cowboy around.
from the bayou. Make sure the pussy ball no Caillou. Hadouken your ass like I'm Ryu. I splash on your ass like an eye chapstick on my lip, and I'm looking like a bitch. I had a couple kids, but I threw them in a ditch. For the ice on my wrist, no a dyke with a whip. We can take 4 spin every rap before 10. I've been fucking bitches in my minivan, and I've been flipping switches cause I know I can. And post my shit on Pinterest, cop a couple fans. And I hope that y'all listening cause I'm going ham. I've been doing coke, no cola, gotta get the fucking white. I hit her on my Motorola, shorty wanna fuck tonight. I'm sick as fuck but no Ebola, dirty in my fucking Sprite. And I got gay but no controller, cooking up like Walter White. Like left, right, uppercut, stupid suck, gon' suck my nuts. Up, down, hey bitch, what? Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Left, right, uppercut, stupid suck, gon' suck my nuts. Up, down, hey bitch, what? Run it up, run it up, run it up, run it up. Didn't wanna get it but I had to go and get it, so I copped a couple things to get my rocks off, eh? Didn't wanna fuck her but I had to go and fuck her, so I did that shit quick with my socks on, eh? This and that, the back and forth, it's so much work like playing sports, so fuck the whore. I did my time, I lost my mind, she hot as fuck like lemon lime, still wanting more.
Pull up with a bitch and I'ma show her I'm a king. Gonna pick her up, gonna give a bitch a ring. Psych dude, I don't like you, don't wanna hit you, not my boo, but we watching TV, gotta BD like a big dick. See these nuts, but it gotta be PG. Water dripping like Fiji. But when you wanna smash, I'm DTF.
I'm backseat, pimpin' with a hoe, and she on my dick. $100,000 in my pocket, now it's on my wrist. I'm backseat, pimpin' with a hoe, pass her to the click. $100,000 in my pocket, now it's on my wrist.
She dances.
You used to call me on my. You used to. Yeah.
You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love.
And I know in that hotline ring, that can only mean one thing. I know in that hotline ring, that can only mean one thing. Ever since I left the city, you got a reputation for yourself now. Everybody knows and I feel left out. Girl, you got me down, you got me stressed out. 'Cause ever since I left the city, you started wearing less and going out more. Glasses of champagne out on the dance floor, hanging with some girls I never seen before. You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. I know when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing. I know when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing. Ever since I left the city, you and me, we just don't get along. You make me feel like I did you wrong, going places where you don't belong. Ever since I left the city, you got exactly what you asked for. Running out of pages in your passport, hanging with some girls I've never seen before. You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone, late night when you need for someone else. Doing things I taught you, getting nasty for someone else. You don't need no one else. You don't need nobody else. Why you never alone? Why you always touching road? Used to always stay at home. Be a good girl, you was in the zone. Yeah, you should just be yourself. Right now you're someone else. Oh, you used to call me on my cell phone. And right when you need call me on my cell phone. And right when you need and I know when that hotline bling, that can only be one thing. I know when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing. Ever since I left the city.
Okay, chat, we are back. Hope you enjoyed those songs. The last one was admittedly an AI Motown choir 1950s cover gospel of Drake's Hotline Bling. I got asked the other day, what's my opinion on AI, essentially. And I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm more mixed than probably people would like me to be. I don't know. On the one hand, I do not, like the idea. I think it's wrong to say use someone's voice for a project. What was it? The Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm re-releases on Steam using AI versions of voice actors to like redo lines instead of just paying the voice actors to do that again. I think using AI to cheap out on paying somebody, especially when a company has the money to pay them, no problem. I think that's wrong. I think doing AI art and selling that, I think you're a hack and you should be ashamed of yourselves. But, I can't lie. Some of these AI covers are just kind of a guilty pleasure. I don't listen to them regularly. But every now and then I encounter one and I'm just like, yeah, that's really catchy. I wouldn't say there's any skill or talent to it, but I can't help that I like it. And if you're not making any money off the product, I guess I don't hate it as much. I don't know if anyone's made any money off of these. I would say if they are, yeah, I'd say that's wrong. I think if you're not singing the stuff yourself or producing it or anything like that, I think it's kind of wrong to do that. But if you're doing AI strictly for enjoyment, excuse me, if you're making content that you know that you don't have the money to pay someone, I don't hate it. It just depends on kind of what you're making. I think the idea of like an AI generated movie or video game or cartoon is asinine and stupid and disgusting. Kind of makes me sick to my stomach. But, again, this song, there's another song called Only Thing I Love by Beats by AI, which is catchy and funny. And I can't help that that's funny as hell. I don't know if I can play it here. My girlfriend hates it. I've played it a few times and I've sung it a few times and she gets really fucking annoyed. But yeah, I don't know. I'm mixed on AI. I guess I'd say it's wrong to use AI to profit off of, or especially to use to as a replacement for an actual actor or an actual artist or musician, and use that to get profit off of. I can't remember what the deal was, but I know there was a bunch of actors on strike at one point because studios were using AI to like make background characters essentially and put in contracts that like, oh, we can use your likeness in AI to like fill seats in this one scene just so that it looks like there's people in the back, and that way we don't have to like pay people and find more people to just sit down and look at what's going on or something like that. that I would say is wrong. That's fucked up. And like I said, AI art. I remember hearing a story about some people selling AI art at a convention, and they were kicked out, as they fucking should, because that's not art. I mean, you can enjoy it. There's sometimes I've seen some cool stuff, admittedly, that I can't deny. But I don't think you should be able to make a profit off of that if it's something that can easily be made in like 5 minutes. I've played around with AI on my own. Like I can't remember what it was, but it was like an AI anime art generator thing. I know that's cool. Some of the AI TikTok filters of like how would you look in Demon Slayer or something. That's fun, and you're not going to be able to do that without having to pay a really, really talented artist to do that for you otherwise. So I don't hate those, and not everyone has the money for that. And I would say also, I think AI is actually good in terms of corporate stuff. There was, before I even talk about that, there was a really cool AI video I saw on WorldStar, actually, where they showed, it was sort of a celebration of the Friday movies, if you've ever seen those. So it showed like young Ice Cube in the movie Friday next to old Ice Cube now. And I can't remember the dude who played the dad in that movie. I can't remember his name. Next to him now. And then there was another one. I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who played Debo, like him young, and then him in like sort of the latest version they could find of him with angel wings next to him. Bernie Mac, young Bernie Mac next to, angel wings, older Bernie Mac. Like stuff like that is cool. And I think that's a good use of AI. The way Eminem used AI for himself to kind of portray the younger version of himself in like the Death of Slim Shady and the Hitman game or Hitman 3 or whatever. I don't know if it's Hitman 3. I can't remember the name of it. Just whatever the latest Hitman game and DLC is. I would prefer he just voice it himself, but it's his voice, it's his character. It's not the worst thing to do that. And like I said, like Chat GPT is helpful for like if you're typing corporate letters, you got to send emails and stuff. A lot of people working in those fields will type up an email, put the prompt in Chat GPT and say, I need this to be more professional, more concise, polite and all these things. And Chat GPT will, spit something out. You want to, proofread it and make sure it doesn't read like nonsense, but it can be helpful. I don't use it really because at least when it comes to emailing clients, because a lot of the people I work with are social outcasts like myself, and you don't need to like sound super professional to get their attention. Oftentimes being yourself is a lot more helpful than trying to come off like some suit and tie wearing, oh yes sir, how are you doing today? It is I'm reaching out today to tell you that I quite like your work, and I would like to collaborate. Like, it's just better to sound as authentic as possible. But in corporate stuff, it's helpful. So I don't think AI is all evil. I would also say, actually, I'm kind of done on AI. I can't remember what I was going to say. I wanted to talk about something. I only got like 30 more minutes. We're going to do this. But I posted a video the other day talking about, I think it might have been a week or so by now, but like the PS3 versus the 360 being the last good console war. And someone asked in the comments, why do I like a console war? Why would I think that's a good thing? Shouldn't I just be happy that people are gaming and having fun? Shouldn't that be what's most important to me? And the answer is, yeah, that is what's most important to me. I don't engage in console wars because I think I wasn't talking about them because I take them seriously. I don't feel good if one console is not doing well and isn't selling well, but the console I bought or something is. Not really. I get you know, I enjoy console wars for fun, I guess, in sort of a playful way, kind of like, someone might enjoy wrestling or something. I don't take it that seriously, but I find it entertaining. And I feel like, I like the discussions on it. I like the debates. I like the, insults back and forth, but ever since after PS3, 360 and Wii, things just haven't been that interesting. If we were talking about PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U, PS4 won because PS4 was a more powerful system. Excuse me, sorry. PS4 was a more powerful system. It didn't have these stupid restrictions on sharing games, having to stay connected at all times. It, had the online was basically the same. It was improved from PlayStation 3. You had all the options Xbox had, and it was cheaper. It was a cheaper console. So it was just honestly the better console, at least in the beginning. Like Xbox One got some good quality of life features as time went on. It got, you got backwards compatibility with 360 and the original Xbox, which is definitely a bonus if you're trying to retro collect. It does kind of make an Xbox One a worthwhile purchase, in my opinion. And there, the thing is that like, especially near the end of the 360, and like, some might feel I'm wrong, but like the Xbox One just did not have a lot of exclusives. The exclusives it got were Halo, Gears, and Forza, and then a lot of exclusives. A lot of the exclusives just didn't, weren't that popular, or they got ported later on, like Cuphead and Super Lucky's Tale got ported at some point. Granted, PS4, a lot of the exclusives eventually got ported to PC, but, honestly, I kind of agree with Scott the Woz at this point that PC is not a competitor. It's a partner in crime. PC gamers are hardcore. It doesn't matter how good of a console you make. You're not going to convince them most of the time to, get away from PC gaming. Like they, if they have the money, they'll buy the console regardless. But if they don't, they're going to stick with their PC. So it's just better to sell the games on PC anyway. But yeah, getting to my point, I mean, Xbox One had some bonuses. The Game Pass was also a nice feature to an extent. But, PS4, I think just easily won out. It got, took a little time, but it got the better exclusives. The Wii U, Nintendo exclusives are usually pretty good, but it couldn't get the same level of third-party support as PS4 and Xbox One. It was too far behind. And then if you want to count the Switch, even the Switch, which, had tons of great games. I love, I've had so many great games on my Switch, but, it still was weaker than both of those systems. The Witcher 3 looks like dog shit on that thing. The Witcher 3 looks terrible, and a lot of games that got ported to it way later and just were not as good as they were on PS4. And again, talking about like this generation now, especially why I think the console war just isn't that entertaining. Which is the best console, the PS5, Xbox Series X, or we'll count both the Switch 1 and Switch 2, because Switch 1 is technically in that camp, but Switch 2, is closer. 1 second, let me get some water. Put simply, the PS5, like out of all those systems, which is the best to get? The PS5. The PS5 has the best out of all the systems. It's got, exclusives, good exclusives you can play. That, maybe not all of them are your favorites, but, it's got God of War. It's got the Last of Us games. A lot of them got ported and remastered. The Uncharted series. I would say, I'm trying to think of like a lot of the PS5 exclusives. You got Demon Souls, but like the PS5, the exclusives aren't quite as rampant, but they're still there. The Spider-Man 2 as well as another one. I would say you also have the addition of like, hey, we have the exclusives from the PS4 because it's backwards compatible. So you have plenty of great exclusives to play on PS5, but on top of that, all the multi-platform games are, play perfectly, like the best on PS5. I mean, Xbox Series X, I think, is basically the same, but like on Xbox, you can play multi-platform games great, but there's not a lot of exclusives for it. Even the games that were exclusive, like Gears of War and Halo, are being ported to the PS5. And then again, we get the Switch. Switch is, great for exclusives, but you're not going to get the same multi-platform support. Even the Switch 2, which I admittedly want, just because, I want the new Pokemon game that came out. I kind of want to play Cyberpunk on it just to see how that looks portably. And I know that the new Resident Evil Requiem is coming out and they also are including a bundle that includes Resident Evil 9 as well as 8 and 7. Even with that in mind, the Switch 2 is still kind of behind graphically. So while you'll still get some multi-platform support, especially with it being so new, we don't know how good that's going to go. Like the Switch 1 was supposed to get multi-platform support, but as time went on, we just started to see, okay, I mean, some games will play on it, but they don't look the same. You're getting easily the worst version of most of the games that came out around that time, or that came out for all the systems. It's not the same. PS5, in my opinion, is just easily the best system, hands down. And then these days, hold on, sorry. I gotta fix my bed. The PS5, I think, is just the best system out of all three of these. Just not that entertaining to talk about. To be honest with you, the console war between all three of the current consoles is so uninteresting to me. I honestly find the current infighting between PS4 and PS5 to be a lot more entertaining, to be a lot more engaging, and an interesting topic of conversation. I saw a video the other day, and I'll see if I can pull it up real quick. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I think we can watch this real quick. But basically, I'll discuss it. The video essentially said that the guy. I don't think. Actually, no, I can't. I don't think I can repeat it because he says a word in it. And I'm not trying to be too strict with the YouTube censors, but don't want to say that word. It starts with an R, has an ACIST in it, I guess. So we'll just say that. But basically he said there's a weird psychological attachment that some people have to their PS4. Even though it's been like 5 years since the PS5's release, there's little to no reason that anybody shouldn't have a PS5 at this point. And he said, I think it was because of 2020. He's, the virus that was going around. Again, I'm being a little careful here. Is like when everything was shut down, when none of the stores were open, when no one was doing anything, there wasn't a vaccine, anything like that going around. Who was there for you? And he said, Tomato Town. Your PS4 was there. You had that to play. And he's kind of right. I kind of understand where he's coming from. And I will say, we're getting to a point now. I'll probably discuss this in another episode later of the podcast. But I'm starting to get nostalgic for certain aspects of 2020. I mean, it was a bad time, and I feel terrible for, what happened to a lot of people, especially, with everything going on. But man, playing games, when that happened during that shutdown, that was like all you could do. There was the thing that happened that where everyone's Wi-Fi got slower. All the games started to have lag and stuff because everyone was online. Everyone was playing. Nobody was doing anything else. So yeah, it was, I kind of get what he's saying. And I feel like, again, this is just more interesting because I was surprised seeing in the replies and comments of the video, some people actually defending and saying, oh, I don't think, some people said they don't think the PS5 is enough of an upgrade from the 4 to warrant purchasing. And they feel like that if most developers wanted to, they could still make most of the games on the PS4 if they, felt like it, basically. If they just wanted to optimize it, but they don't want to put that work in. And some people made I think was a decent point about how, like, we're getting to the point where the PlayStation 6 is going to come out soon. If you don't have it, there's almost no point to getting it right now because the new one's going to be out soon. And then by the time you get this new system, you finally can play some current gen games. You cannot play. By the time you finally can play some PS5 games, the PS6 is going to be on the way. So you just wasted money essentially. These are some of the arguments. I kind of wanted to throw my 2 cents in, my opinion out there about why some people are stuck on PS4 still, even though it's been like 5 years. Because I looked it up and it said like last year that the PlayStation 4's player base is still like 40 million people, which I can't compare that. I don't have the numbers in comparison to like PS3 and 360 or anything like that, but definitely seems like a lot. I think PS5 still beat it this year, but it's still a lot of people on PS4, and it does beg the question, why is that the case? Why are so many people still on this old system? There's people like me who, like I said, I took a big financial risk last year moving, and I, made some dumb decisions. I was in a toxic situationship at the time. That's not an excuse, but it was part of the reason I made some dumb financial decisions. Unfortunately, went through some pretty bad hardships and, had to sell my systems. And for a while, I just had to switch. I made my own mistakes, and so because of that, I got a PS4 again. I got lucky and someone gave me a PS4. I'm sure there's some people who are still just sticking with it because they don't have the money for it or whatever. I'm sure those exist, but I think another portion of it is that I think we forget that there are still a lot of kids who game. A lot of parents, get a console for their kids so they can play online with their friends. They can play Call of Duty, they can play, whatever games they're playing as of now. And these days, a lot of what kids are playing still is Fortnite, maybe Call of Duty, Minecraft. They do kind of need the newer systems if they want to play something like Roblox, but a lot of kids are still playing Fortnite. And the honest truth is, if you play Fortnite regularly, there's no reason to buy a PS5 if that's like the main thing you're going to play. It'll look better for sure. I've played Fortnite on PS5 and on my PS4. It looks better on PS5, sure, but they both run at 60 frames per second. They both play perfectly fine. There's no reason if you have a kid and he's playing Fortnite most of the time with his friends, there's no reason to buy him the new system. There's just no need. So I think that might play a factor. I think a lot of kids are still on PS4 because you can still play Fortnite on it. That's the main thing they're going to play. I would also say some people have argued, and more I thought about it as I was trying to make my case for the PS5. I mean, there are exclusives on the thing, but there's definitely not as many exclusives as there was on PS4. And that, is a factor. Why am I going to upgrade if most of what I'm going to be playing on the PS5 is the exclusives from last gen systems. Even when I had my PS5, outside of the Resident Evil 4 remake, I was not playing a lot of PS5 games. Granted, I got it like 2022, 2023, but still, I was not playing a lot of PS5 games. I was playing Kingdom Hearts, the HD, 1.5, 2.5 remix. I was playing God of War. I was catching up on that. I was catching up on Horizon Zero Dawn. I was catching up on a lot of the PS4 games that I hadn't beat in the past, and I did not have a reason to play a lot of the PS5 games. Even I got Resident Evil 8 for my PS4 originally because that's all I had at the time. And there's another thing, like I will say in the beginning, yeah, it looked better on PS5, but a lot of the games still looked perfectly fine on PS4. There wasn't much of a reason to upgrade. Yeah, Lady Dimitrescu looks a little hotter on the PS5, but still, like it's still the same game. And it's so similar to the point where when I got a PS5 and I got that free PS5 upgrade for Resident Evil 8, I did not have a reason, like I did not play it again. I played the DLC. I played the DLC on live stream. But as far as just replaying Resident Evil 8, just to play it again, just to see it in that, gorgeous PS5 glory, I didn't. It didn't interest me enough. It wasn't that much better. I will say at this point, though, I think if you think that the PS4 is still comparable to the current gen systems, you're in a bit of denial. I think you're coping. I think you're saying that because you haven't been able to get the money for one reason or another, and you just don't want to admit that this system is kind of outdated. The fact that Marvel Rivals got ported to PS4 is insane to me. I almost feel like they did that because the PS4 Pro is a little closer to a PS5, and so it's a little more playable on that, to my understanding. But they can't just make a PS4 Pro exclusive game. So they kind of had to put it on everything. I did not download it because as much as admittedly I wanted to play it, I just knew it wasn't going to be worth it. And I saw clips of it, and it's just sad, honestly. Like I'm on PS4 and I'm still like, no, I'm not playing that. Like that. I'll play Overwatch 2. I re-downloaded Overwatch 2, and at least that game just kind of looks like Overwatch 1. It's still playable. I know no one really plays Overwatch 2 at this point. I'm kind of the odd man out, but I'll still have some fun on that. But to sit here and say, oh, well, no, there's just not that much of a difference, that these games could totally play fine on PS4, I don't really care. You're in denial. Like I said, I bought Resident Evil 4 Remake for my PS5 when I had it back in 2022, 2023. And I played the shit out of that game. I loved it. Eventually on my PS4, when I got this PS4, I re-downloaded tons of games, which, on a side note, people complain about digital versus physical media. Physical media definitely has a lot of pros to it, but putting my account back on a system and just being able to download a bunch of games I already bought before was kind of cool. Like I got Wolfenstein: The New Order on here again, the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, The Order 1886, and also Sony doing PlayStation Classics again. I was able to get re-download the Resident Evil games I already bought. Alone in the Dark and New Night. I was able to buy some PlayStation 1 games just there. That was really cool. I got the Resident Evil 2 remake again. I had a lot of, games I just got because I already had them on there. So that was pretty cool. I eventually said, you know what? I kind of want to see how Resident Evil 4 Remake looks on here. And I did look at some videos and I was like, let's see. And I mean, it looks okay. It is kind of impressive that they got it to run on the PS4 at all. Hey, Sniper Dude, thanks for being here. Hey, man, what's up? I'm glad to see you. No, it's been a minute. Getting back to what I was saying. Resident Evil 4 Remake on PS4 is pretty impressive looking on it, but it's still very clearly like not running well. It's very obvious this is not a game for this system. It's chugging along. It's one of those games that you turn on your PS4 and it gets a lot louder than it usually does. I have the PS4 Slim, so I don't know if it's really that different, but this system doesn't usually sound that loud to me. This is that rare exception. It gets loud as shit. And I'm not going to lie, playing, like, it's playable, but it gave me a headache looking at the first time because it's running at a much slower frame rate. There's a lot of motion blur added, I think, to, like, hide certain things. So, like, when you kick a box, there's this slight blur that goes on there. And, like, it's playable if you have to play Resident Evil, or you really want to play Resident Evil 4 and you don't have another option. But it's definitely not, it's definitely not the version you'd want to play if you had the choice. So to sit there and say, oh, there's not that much of a difference, it's totally plausible. No, at a certain point, this PS4 is just outdated and it cannot handle a lot of the new games of today. The fact that they actually ported Marvel Rivals to PS4 is just insane to me. I will say I saw some people in the comments saying, hey, not everyone has the money. Shit's tough right now. And that's another factor that is true. While people were going through COVID, shortly after, not too shortly, but, a couple years after, economy's not the best right now, Yeah, you could kind of get one, but, like, there's a lot of stuff that's really expensive. Is it really worth getting a PS5 at this point? I don't know. Like, if I had one, I'm sure I'd be happy. If I had the money, yeah, I might pick one up, but I don't, I will say I like seeing, people say I don't, I'm not judging, and I think that's a good thing, because, yeah, the honest truth is some people just can't afford it, and could be a multitude of factors. You don't know what someone's going through. Like I said, my situation was my fault, but not everyone's the same. I would also, let me drink some more water here. I also feel like we might be going through a bit of a new crash in video gaming. So I think some of you might not know, there's something called, like, the video game crash of the 80s, I believe it was. Basically, with the Atari 2600, like, being, like, the main system, there wasn't really a quality control thing. Games were very, low graphically and stuff. And so people bought games and then would get them home and be like, this sucks. And eventually they got to a point, because it was so hard to tell what was a good game and what wasn't, that a lot of people just stopped buying games. And a lot of games got returned. People blame, like, E.T. for the Atari 2600 for the reason for it. It's not necessarily the reason. That there was just an issue going on. And so for a while, games, lost popularity. And it wasn't until the NES came out with, like, Super Mario Brothers that it got popular again. I feel like we're in sort of a different kind of crash today, like a different video game crash, where, again, do I feel like, some people have maybe had plenty of time to get one? Sure. But the fact at this point that I can't remember the company's name, whatever it was, that they actually decided we're going to port Marvel Rivals to PS4 in 2025. This is a system that has been out since 2013. Is kind of insane. I think it's an indicator of the times. Like, it's someone said it best. It's like, imagine Fortnite in 2017 getting ported to the PS3 or 2018 or anything around that time. They just said like, okay, we are porting Fortnite to the PS3. It's like, what? The system is old as hell. Who's playing on it still? But with PS4, it was so popular, there's a lot of people still playing on it still. There's still a lot of good games on the system. And so, again, with like Fortnite and even Apex and a lot of free-to-play games, a lot of games getting cheaper for the system. There's a lot of people still playing on PS4. And I think we're reaching a point where a lot of people, especially with how expensive video games are getting, and with how many games coming out are just remasters and remakes. Like, the Switch 2 has a bunch of remakes remasters right out the gate of Switch 1 games. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Odyssey. Great games, but like, really? They're right out the gate, you're just re-releasing these games? And I could be wrong. I'm going to Google it real quick just to be sure. But I'm pretty freaking sure on Switch 2 that like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are still like $60. I'm Googling real quick. Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's more expensive, at least on like Target here. $70. $70 for this game that came out in 2017. This is a almost 9-year-old game here, and they're just like, yep, we're remastering it, put it out full price. There you go. Mario Kart World being like $80. And then like even on PS5, like there's more exclusives, sure. And sometimes those exclusives get cheaper over time, but they're still like, they still charge $70 for The Last of Us Part 1. They still charge $70 for a remake of Demon Souls. They charge, I don't know how much Until Dawn is, but they remade Until Dawn recently. Horizon Zero Dawn. And like, it's just, there's so many remakes and remasters of games coming out at this point. It doesn't even seem worth it. It really doesn't. Like, why get this? Why get a system that's mostly going to have remasters? I mean, yeah, there's God of War Ragnarok, which is going to play better on PS5. There's Spider-Man 2, which is obvious. Again, there's some games obviously are going to play best on this system. But, yeah, I mean, even a game that I kind of would play, like I would play Metal Gear Solid Delta if I had a PS5 right now. I still have the old game. And I'm still going to love Metal Gear Solid 3, the OG. I still have that. What's the point, really? It's getting to a point it just doesn't feel worth it. It seems almost smarter to just have a PS4 or an Xbox One. Or like if you really, really must play the brand new games, it's kind of a smart idea to get like, if you really want to get the new games, but you don't have a high budget, I'm going to Google it again real quick. 1 second. Make sure I'm double sure, because I know there was a price increase, but let's see. That's not the one I'm looking for. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of, there's kind of a little neck and neck now, but the place, like you can get the PlayStation 5 bundle. But you can also get, like, the PS5 Pro is like $400 now, and you get the Xbox Series S. For a while, that was kind of the better option if you really had to play the new games. But, a lot of people don't need to play the new games. They don't really care. Again, I can think of 2 to 3 games on the newer systems that I actually want to play. Even when I had the system, I mostly played PS4 games. Horizon Zero Dawn Remake, that game looks great on PS4. Will it look great on PS5? I'm sure. But, on the remake, I'm sure. But is it necessary? No, that game looks fine on its own. So I think that plays a lot into why a lot of people are still sticking with PS4. I mean, again, I think the economy plays a factor too. It's just not really worth investing in the new system. Especially when so many of them are remakes and remasters. Sniper Duty said, facts, lots of people play Fortnite on PS4, even Xbox pretty much. don't know about Nintendo games. Again, you know, like Nintendo, you're gonna get exclusives, as I said before, but like I've played Fortnite on Switch. It's not really appealing, but I'm sure on Switch 2 it's better. I'm sure a lot of the games are gonna play better on that. But yeah, I think that's why so many people are sticking with PS4 right now, because there's just no point, especially with the PS5. I mean, not no point, but there's just some people don't necessarily care about the new games coming out. Some people don't necessarily care about, you know, every brand new title that everyone's playing. I know Ghost of Tsushima has been a thing, Ghost of Yotai or Yote or whatever. I don't really care. Elden Ring, I'm not really into Dark Souls. Like, there's plenty of games that have come out that I'm just like, oh, okay, cool, I'm all right. But yeah, we're going to end this soon, but before I do, I wanted to kind of promote something real quick, so give me 1 second here. Go ahead and switch to my desktop capture. Can you... OBS is pissing me the fuck off right now. Can you please... God damn it. All right, there. That worked. That was convoluted and annoying, but it worked. Okay, so there we go. Yeah. So I have worked with this amazing channel known as Lauria's Lore. Yeah. This is probably one of my favorite, definitely one of my favorite horror animation channels I've ever worked with. They have made some very, very good stories, and they are criminally underrated. I voice in I Unleash Something Terrifying, as well as Now I See, animated by the incredibly talented Creeptoons. These are some of the most entertaining, scariest, most original horror stories I've seen in a long, long time. I really like these stories, and I cannot stress enough, you guys need to subscribe. You guys need to check these out. We're going to watch the first minute of both of these stories. So
we'll cut to the chase.
Yeah, we don't need that. We'll wait for this to finish, and then we'll get back to it. But yeah, we're going to watch the first minute of both of these, and then so you can get a little taste of what's in store, and then you can check out the rest on your own. So go ahead and hit play. Definitely sub to them. So this story is called Now I See. I also dig this opening for Lauria's Lore's channel. That is very unique. Gives you a taste of what you're in store for on this channel in comparison to the others. It's really not concerned with like trying to tell a true story, just a good story. Sophie jolted upright on the couch. She glanced at the clock. 12:36 a.m. Again, she thought. That was the third night this week she'd fallen asleep on the sofa, something she never did. And the third time she'd been woken up by a knock at the door. It wasn't loud, but steady, insistent, as if whoever was on the other side knew she was there. She shook off the fog and walked to the door, rubbing her eyes. Probably some idiot playing a prank, she thought. But then she looked through the peephole and stopped breathing. A clown. Its face was grotesque, too close. Two gaping holes where the eyes should have been stared directly into the peephole, as if it could see her. Can you see? Let me see.
Its face was painted white,
okay,
but the paint was cracking and stained with dried blood.
Thank you, Green Augustine. I'm glad you did.
Stretched across its lips.
All right, we're going to stop there. So again, if you haven't seen this before, I highly recommend you check it out. The story is called Now I See by Lauria's Lore. Really well written, really well animated, just a great story. And I really like these stories. They remind me of the classic creepypastas that I grew up with back in high school. I really recommend these. We'll watch the first minute of this or so, and then that's going to be the end of this. I just really dig these, and I cannot stress enough, this channel needs more subscribers. This channel needs support. I really want Corey to do like a reaction to these. I think he would really like these. I think they'd be really, really good.
I've made a serious mistake. A mistake that will surely cost humanity dearly. And believe me, I'm choosing my words carefully. It all began a few months ago, during the summer, when I went to visit my family in Michigan. If you've ever been to the northern part of the state, you know that it's one of the most beautiful places in the world during that season. The color of the flora is so vibrant you could almost taste it on your tongue. The many lakes seem to form silver roads for those fortunate enough to own boats. The temperature is perfect, warm enough to feel the gentle heat of the sun without drowning in sweat. At the time, I was struggling with work. I'm an author, and I'd been staring at blank pages for weeks. I needed
All right, that's going to be the end there. Again, check these out. Both are really good. Both are really interesting, very creepy, and very original. They're not trying to be based on something. They're not some true story someone tells at a campfire. They're just a good, creepy, original story. I love it. So yeah, check these out. They're really good. Subscribe to Glorious Lore. Leave a comment in the videos. Let them know who sent you. I really hope you enjoy. That's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the second episode of the TerranceCast. I got to come up with a different name. But, I had a really, really good time here. I'm going to go ahead and switch that. And I hope you guys did too. It was great talking with you again. Hoping to do more of this stuff.